You are listening to the ReRACEables podcast. So, welcome to the ReRACEables podcast. My name is Tom. I am joined today by two very special guests, Nathan and Cody from season 32 of The Amazing Race. Give it up to them. Thank you guys so much. Guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here. I can't tell you how excited I am to meet you guys, to talk to you about, your experience and, get to know you a little bit better. Let's talk about The Amazing Race. You guys were on the show. Like, that's amazing. No pun intended, but like, it's really an amazing thing. How did that all happen?
Well, it's really a blessing. They called me, so I didn't even apply for the show. I guess they found my Instagram page. And I've always done like a bunch of wild stuff. So on my Instagram, I've got my noodling. I was a horseback. I broke or helped work on like Mustangs out in Colorado, worked at a dude ranch, chemical weapons, ridden bulls, scuba dove with bull sharks without cages. I've done a lot of wild stuff. And so I guess they were looking for kind of a southern redneck pair, and they found noodling. So they called me, and I hung up on them 3 or 4 times because somebody called me and literally said, "You want to be on The Amazing Race?" And I'm like, click. So we did that like 4 or 5 times until I was like, okay, how are you gonna make money off this? And they're like, "Oh, I understand." And so we got into how do you prove that you're actually from the show? And so we did some rigmarole, and they proved that they were there. And I was like, oh crap, I've been hanging up on these people quite a bit. So.
Wow. So they recruited you. So how, it's literally out of nowhere. You had no prior knowledge. It's just kind of out of the clear blue sky, out of the murky waters, that catfish that is The Amazing Race bit you.
Yeah. We didn't.
Good analogy. I like that.
Yeah, we had no idea. We still had to go to LA and cast, so we still had to go up against several teams. But instead of being regional, you go to regional tryouts, and then you go on to LA there if you win. We just went straight to LA.
So you hang up, you get 5 more calls, whatever. You finally believe them. They convince you, right? They remove the mask, right? And then you go into LA, and what's your expectations when you go to the LA to that casting situation?
At that point, we thought we can't get past that. To be honest.
Yeah, right.
We were just happy to have a trip out to LA and even be considered. This is, like I said on the show, this isn't a once in a lifetime chance. This is a once in 100,000 lifetime chance because nobody gets to do this. I mean, it's very, very small percentage of the population that ever even gets considered to this. So we were just blessed.
Yeah, it was a free trip to LA if nothing else. We have no money out of our pockets, so you can't beat it.
Yeah, and I think that gratitude and that perspective that you guys have and that you share there is what somebody like me, a viewer, a super fan of the show, somebody that wants to be on the show at some point, like, we totally appreciate that, and it shines through and says a lot about you guys. So, I can't imagine what that must have been like, but like, I would like to think that everybody who would be in that position would take that same attitude that you guys had. So that's a credit to you guys.
Yeah.
Now, were most of the teams recruited? Would you say? Would you know that? Are most of the teams recruited, or is it more casting people go in and get kind of lucky? I guess.
I know Will and James. James said that he applied 9 times before he got cast, and I know Apanu and Ishwar they applied, but I think the only team that I know of is Gary and D'Angelo that got recruited.
Okay.
Even they originally reached out to The Amazing Race.
Yeah, I think Gary might have. Yeah, I think you might be right.
Wow. So it's possible that you guys were like the one team that got fully recruited.
Right. Possible.
I don't know. We're still just blown away. We're just blessed. I mean, I think everything happened the way it probably should have happened, but we are just very blessed to even be able to do something like this. We're just 2 small town nobodies.
And then you get the phone call. Now, you hung up when they first called you. What do you do when they call you? What do you do when they call you and they're like, yeah, you guys are in?
we were together out on a farm doing hay. So he called me, and so we were out on a farm and stuff, and we're just in the middle of kind of the country, and we just get the call, and we're just kind of like jumping up and down, and then we're like, we got to work tomorrow, so I'll see you at work.
See you at work in the morning.
Yeah.
No sleep for a while.
Yeah. So.
Well, that sounds as fitting as ever. I mean, you guys, first of all, you're together, you're on the farm, you're doing what you would normally be doing, and you're together. That's so great. And then you just go home and you just have dinner, and you're like, so how was your day? And then you're like, well, funny you should ask.
Absolutely. That's what I told my wife.
They the movie stars. They want the big LA guys.
Oh my gosh, dude, that is so crazy, but that's so great that that's how that happened. So let's go to the race then. So again, I'm getting the one perspective like every other viewer. We see only, the bios that you guys have put out there on the website, or we can research, your Instagrams, or we can look at the, the videos that the show puts out. But take me into, you're in Hollywood. You're walking up, you're doing the run thing, and they're doing the camera, and all of a sudden you're on the stage, right? And you're in that semicircle, and there's Phil. What is happening in that moment, mentally, physically?
Physically, we were cold.
It was freezing in LA.
One time in LA, it was freezing, and we're all standing there just shivering. So it's just it still doesn't seem real. I don't know. I know.
Right. Absolutely.
It's one of those things. It's like catching that big old catfish. You're just kind of dreaming about it for a while. It just doesn't seem real. It's like, was that as big as I thought it was?
Yeah, and then when Phil says go, you're like, oh, this is really real. Yeah. We're going.
Yeah.
And it's a true reality show. There's no faking it. I mean, your cameraman is just going in front of you. You're leading where you're supposed to go. If you're going in the wrong direction, that's on you. So, I mean, it's real.
I'm getting like anxious just thinking about that moment, and I'm not even in the, you can imagine. I can't even imagine the insanity. I'm glad you brought up the cameraman. How does that work? Like, do you meet the camera person that's going to be with you? And do you what kind of role are they playing in this whole insane reality? You're cold, there's Phil, he's godlike, oh my God, this is real, go. And then you're with this, how much, talk to me a little bit about the cameraman and that whole relationship. And
well, we probably met our camera guy and sound. You have a camera guy and a sound man with you at all times. So we probably didn't meet them like 4 or 5 hours before it was like go time. Yeah. And
oh my gosh.
So they are amazing what they do, because everywhere we're all running, they are running backwards carrying a camera. So I mean, yeah, they were unreal.
What they do to do their footage, and they're packing. We're packing, and you see us wearing backpacks. They're having to do the same thing, but they have to have their camera equipment with them too. So, I mean, it's absolutely astonishing. We can't say enough about how great those people are and how dedicated they are to their art. It is an art, and to get every shot that they get, every angle and everything, they're thinking about that. While we're thinking about racing, they're thinking about how to get a shot of us and climbing up on stuff, below stuff, around stuff. They're being frantically crazy in real world trying to get that real world shot. So it's pretty amazing.
I feel like there needs to be a show about the show, right? Kind of like a show, have another cameraman on the cameraman that's on you guys. Because I don't know, I'm sitting having dinner with my friends. We're right before the race, and we're talking about the show and what we're, hopes and whatever. And then, oh, whoops. So you need the cameraman. There you go. And, one of the things that I couldn't help but think about, I'm like, how impossible it must be for these people. It's hard enough for you guys. Like you said, you got the backpack on, you're running literally around the world, and you're in the water, you're out of the water, you're climbing up something, you're climbing down something. And how do you, it's unbelievable that these people are able to even do that. And that's their job, It just kind of stands out. So how much do they play any role in, slowing things down for the competitors at all?
That's kind of hard to talk about. They all have,
Okay.
They're kind of a little bit of the rule makers to some of the areas and telling you what you're supposed to do. And I don't think, they're kind of the unofficial kind of, I think they have power to stop or make you do stuff, I guess you should say.
I understand. I could see that. They kind of have their own direction and goals and restrictions and boundaries that they kind of have to operate in, I would imagine. Right?